And welcome to tonight's broadcast of high school wrestling. Tonight's broadcast is courtesy of KTV local cable access channel. And tonight's meet is going to feature crosstown rivals. We've got the Mankato West Scarlets and the host school, the Mankato East Cougars. My name is Don Kruzmark, and my broadcast partner for tonight is longtime coach and wrestler, Coach Bill Dubon. And Bill, looking at tonight, you and I have coached a long time, and this meet was always one of the highlights of our season.
It was always the one that kids would get fired up about, crosstown rivals. And it's been kind of a storied past. I think over the last years, since 1973, it's come down. I think West has won 35 duels and East has won 12. But sometimes when the better team supposedly would go out, the other team might pull off a victory. You never know. And it's been pretty even the last few years.
Well, it has. And, that's one of the cool things about this whole thing, because you never, East-West battle, it comes down to, maybe shifting some guys around because they know each other so well. So you're trying to get the matchups that you want. And, with 14 weight classes, you're trying to win at least half of them. So if you can get 7 wins and maybe some bonus points along the way, it's going to make a big difference in the final score.
I would think that would be the case. And talking to both coaches beforehand, this, as much as this is important as a crosstown duel, there's a lot of, I think, pride that goes with this, and they're a little nervous. The other factor here is that this is a section meet. Both these teams are in Section 2AA, arguably the toughest section in the state. Many of the top teams are in Section 2AA, and if you look at last year's state tournament and you scored it out, Section 2AA was dominant over the other sections. It is a very good section, and there are 2 very good wrestlers. We'll talk more about them a little later in this meet coming up in the upper weights. Right now they're introducing, so maybe we should let the camera take that.
And let's introduce the head coaches for each program.
All right.
For Mankato West,
right.
We have Dustin Butel.
Right.
And Dustin is a Caledonia product.
Absolutely.
He did coach with us for a number of years, and then when we retired, Dustin took over.
Yeah, this is his 5th full season now, and his record as a coach at West, he's taken some knocks, but he's keeping it going. Dustin wrestled for Caledonia, as he said. He was a 5-year letter winner, and he was a 4-year captain, 2-time state entrance, 1-time place winner, and he's a graduate of lacrosse, and he's 11th season. Okay, and East is, of course, coached by John Dirks, and we'll talk more about him in a bit. We got our first match coming up here.
At 106 for the Scarlets, Wyatt Block, and for the Cougars, Braden Hendler.
And we've got coming out right out of the block here, we've got, no pun intended, we've got at 106, we've got Wyatt Block, a 7th grader. And for East, we're looking at Braden Hendel.
Yeah,
also
now
a
this
7th
is
grader.
Wyatt's first varsity match ever, so it's kind of an unknown. And both these guys are youngsters, and so we'll see who'll come out. I'm sure they've seen each other in youth wrestling. Wyatt's older brothers wrestle on the team as well. He's got Garrett and
Josh.
And Josh.
And who we're going to see later.
We're going to see probably in a couple matches here. And John Dirks, of course, wrestled for East as well. And he's been, I think he's in his 4th season here as head coach. He was with Bruce Urbach for a time.
Yeah, and did wrestle for Mankato East in the high school days.
He was a 2-time state entrant and maybe 3-time, and I think he placed 2nd his senior year.
Okay, we've got Wyatt Block coming through with a headlock. He needs to get out to the side if he possibly can. Okay.
Oh, he's in trouble here.
Yep.
He didn't finish that.
And getting down to his hip. And it's bad position, but once you get a half in on somebody, you got to get your hips down.
Kind of an upper body cow catcher half there.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Wyatt was able to get a base and stop that. It looks like just 2 and 2 there. Nice sit out.
And a lot of times, you have that first match coming out of a meet, it sets the pace, could set the tone for the whole duel. And so you really want to come out firing, especially in a duel like this.
And for West, this is a bit of a gamble. This is an unknown quantity. The coaches think that this youngster can go with a varsity guy. Brendan's a little bit inexperienced too. He's 2-2, and Wyatt's 0-0. And it's Braden, I believe, not Brendan. And I believe Braden's a 7th grader as well. So 2 7th graders wrestling.
Okay, a lot of action in that first period.
No back points, so it was close.
Yep. And so the score after the first period is 2-2.
Yeah, John. Back to Coach Dirks. He graduated in '99 from East, and was 2nd in the state that year. And we got some more interesting people on their staff too that we're familiar with. Riding a little high there for Mr. Block.
Yeah, Wyatt did try to throw in some arm bars, but did get a little high on that.
Yeah,
and so you really got to keep pressure on the hips. And as a young wrestler, that's hard to do.
But he did something real nice there at stand-up with hand control.
Yep.
One thing about riding, if you want to turn him, you really should break him down. And he'll get that with experience, we hope.
Well, a lot of that comes with hand control.
Yep.
That's where it starts. And we always were talking about hands and hips. If you can control those two things, you can win a lot of matches just by controlling that area.
These guys are wrestling almost like big guys with the upper body.
And we got a minute left in the second period.
This match could be a telltale. Looking down the lineup, and we haven't had much chance to discuss it, but it's going to be a pretty even match, it appears. Last year the score was 39-33. West came out on top, but that could have gone either way. And these teams are very similar to last year.
Block is in on a single. Hendel is trying to sprawl a little bit, but he's got to stay square is what he's trying to do.
A good scramble on both guys.
And we got 26 seconds left in the second period. Mankato East is ahead 4-3 in this match. One of the hardest things to do, Bill, is to stay in a good stance. Once you get to that end of that second period, third period, because you're really getting tired. And
for younger wrestlers, they're doing a pretty good job with their stance.
They are not bad.
Yeah.
And you're trying to control hands, and if you can get by that first line of defense, you can go a long ways. But you got to get by that.
West is going to take down here. We'll see how this pans out. If you're not a real wrestling aficionado, most places you can score from are usually from the bottom if you're a good wrestler, or from the feet. But it looked like Wyatt was pretty good at the stand-up the last time.
And he's trying to get some hands, trying to grab some hands, which he does.
He
comes up real nice.
Yep. He did a good job sitting out and getting hand control.
Still hasn't given him the one yet.
No, he's in kind of a rough spot. He's got to get out of there. The kid from East wants to do a throw off of that. He's got the ankle too. That's going to be tough. But no points, so nothing's changed. We're 30 seconds in.
Scores stayed the same.
Yep.
4-3 Mankato East.
He probably should let go of that leg and get a base, but
Hendel looked like he's trying to get a little bit of an arm bar there. But Block has got to come to his base. Got to build a base, get some hands.
That's got that two-on wrist ride. Two-on-one wrist ride. It's tough to get out of. You're going to have to fight for hand control. Get a restart. Okay.
57 seconds left in third period.
Plenty of time here. I have a suspicion this could possibly go overtime, but let's see what happens here. The East kid's doing a good job riding.
Controlling hands. Nice job for Block getting up to his feet.
Whoop.
Kind of a bad position there for
wasn't a
Hendel,
real
but he
good
did
take
come
to the
out of it.
mat.
But he did come out of
He
it.
locked hands, so I think we're going to have a tie score here. That was a 7th grade mistake on that take to the mat.
Yeah.
That can come back to haunt you.
Real good scramble. Good scramble by both wrestlers.
Stop for the technical violation. The reason they didn't stop right away was Wyatt was in a position to possibly score. Now, if he gets out here, this should make it pretty interesting.
And the score is tied 4-4 with 26 seconds to go in the third period.
I think he might be, well, I don't know. It looks like he might have been locking hands again, but official's right there, so. I think West just scored with 10 seconds.
Yep. Scores 5-4. Block is at 5-4.
3 seconds remaining, 2.6.
All you do now is stay in a good stance.
Stay in a good stance, push on him.
Yep.
Well, that was a very close match. They both wrestled their hearts out. What an experience for both the young men.
Yeah, that was a great match. Good match to start with.
Mr. Hensel, Braden really wrestled hard. Unfortunately, he made a little bit of an error. But for a 7th grader, that was pretty impressive. And Wyatt had the wherewithal to get that point at the end. That was very exciting.
113 for the Cougars, Noah Parrish, and for the Scarlets,
well,
Charlie Pickell.
I'll talk a little bit about Charlie. He's undefeated, but he's unranked, but he's been buzzsawing through people all year, and he's beat some pretty good kids. I think we're going to see a pretty good match out of this young man.
And his opponent is Noah Parrish, this year freshman.
And he's a pretty darn good wrestler, too. He's got a pretty good record. Noah is an up-and-coming young man for East, and his record, I got to look here at my notes, but I think.
And this should be one of our feature matches here, Bill.
I think it is. Noah is got a record of 6-7 as a 10th grader. Excuse me, a 9th grader.
Big takedown.
That
for
was
Parrish.
huge.
Yep, he just did a little slide by. Heavy hands on the head, did a little slide by, got 2.
Yeah, he's good little technique, and Noah has been wrestling at 120, and actually, Mr. Pickell here has been wrestling down at 106, so it's a little bit of a mismatch in weight. They kind of wanted this matchup to see what would happen. So it's going to be a good match, as you said. So, Charlie's 8-0, and like I said, most of his wins are at 106. And most of Noah's matches have been at 120.
That was a nice slide by.
That was a slide by, too. They both like that.
Very nice. Very nice. Off edge of the mat. Scores 2-1.
Pretty advanced for an 8th grade wrestler.
Yep.
Yeah, 2-1 in the first period yet. Noah was 6th at the Blue Earth Invite, and he's come on the scene pretty strong for East this year.
Yeah, Noah Parrish is only a freshman, so he's got a bright future.
Speaking of East and their competition this year, they've wrestled. Well, there's almost a lateral drop there across the body. They've wrestled some really, really tough competition. Their record belies how tough they are. They're 3-7, but 5 of those 7 losses are ranked teams to Hutchinson and Scott West, Albert Lee, and Kirkcove and Murdoch Sunberg. So they've wrestled some real rugged teams this year and done all right. So a little bit misleading.
And at the end of the first period, we've got a 2-1 score in favor of Parrish off his takedown. Starting the second period, Pickell will take down.
West has started out kind of slow on the season in their duels. They're 0-3 coming into this match, but they've wrestled well in a couple of individual tournaments. They were 3rd over at the tournament up in Springfield, the River Valley Badger Open, and they tournament, and they were 3rd there. And Charlie Pickell was the champion at that tournament at 106, and there's a nice takedown. He's looking for points.
You know, that was a real nice combination of moves.
Yeah, it was.
He didn't settle for the escape, but he came right back in for a takedown and was able to
Shot right off
get 1 and 2 and take a 4-2 lead now in the second period. You know, I've watched Charlie wrestle a little bit this year, and we saw him last year quite a bit too. He wrestled varsity. He was almost a 30-match winner, I think, last year in varsity as a 7th grader. So he's got a lot of skill. there,
and
and it shows.
Yeah, and his dad was a real tough wrestler for us back in the 90s, Heath Piquel, and he's got a little bit of his dad's toughness, it looks like. Charlie did win that tournament at the River Valley Badger Invitational at 113, but he won the Chaska Chanhassen Ethan Herman Memorial Tournament at Chaska at 106. So he's been bouncing between the two weights. And I think tonight it was a strategical move to put him at this weight against a little bit bigger wrestler.
Well, I think you're right, because tomorrow, Friday, Charlie's going to be wrestling at 106 at the Redwood Valley.
So he
tournament,
probably wasn't too much over that weight today.
No, he was real close. So he is probably giving away a few pounds.
Yeah.
We got a warning stalling on the East wrestler.
But speaking of, well, I won't talk too much right now. It looks like we're having a fall situation possibly. Kind of a loose.
Short time left in the second period.
Kind of a loose arm bar, but he got some points. Looks like he counted 2 there.
They got 2-point near fall, and that makes the score going into the third period. We've got Piquel 6, and we've got Parrish 2, and Parrish is going to take down start third period.
But speaking of some of those teams from the past, one of the assistant coaches for John Dirks over here for East is Jeremy Berger, and Jeremy wrestled for us on a real good team. He graduated in '94, and so kind of thinking about East-West and the past, it kind of brings back memories of that. And Heath was a young wrestler on that team back in '94, probably about 7th grade, maybe 8th grade, somewhere in there. But he was varsity as a young man too, and he wrestled a lot of years for us. And that year, Jeremy was a senior. We had a real solid team. We challenged for state, and I think we were runner-up in the Big Nine, and we had a real good program there with those guys. It's fun to see some of these guys come back. Farther up the lineup, I don't know if he'll wrestle, but one of our wrestlers, Dan Rademacher, his son wrestles for West. In the
Ethan Rademacher.
Ethan wrestles for West up in the upper weights.
Yeah.
So we've got some connections from our old days coaching at West.
Seems like, you have a lot of that with wrestling.
Yeah.
It's a family sport.
Right.
And you do get second and third generation kids coming through.
Charlie's got a real good tilt going off that wing.
Yep, we've got a minute left.
Deep tight waist with a chicken wing. Coach Wissall, we'll talk about him a little later too, but he's yelling for him to throw a half on over there.
Okay, now you let him go, and he feels more comfortable on his
Yeah.
feet, Bill.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I'm sure Piquel's looking for takedown and back points.
Right. I think they want points out of him here. Coach Wissall is pretty intense over there. Tim over there coaching for West in the blue shirt. I don't know if the camera shows the bench. Whoa, there's a interesting fireman's.
That's not.
The backward fireman's.
Yeah. I don't know what technique book that came out of, but you don't see that a whole lot.
A little dangerous, it looks like.
Dangerous for both wrestlers, actually. You don't want to be going backwards because you like to be able to see where you're going to fall.
No, yeah. It was exciting. Okay. 10 seconds. I don't think he can. Well, no, who knows? Maybe he gets some back points. But back to about Tim. He wrestled for us, graduated, I think, in 2001. And he's been with the program for 15 years. He's kind of a blend between generations. And he's kind of, I think of him as kind of like Mr. Wrestling for Mankato West right now. He really gets into it.
And the final score of the 113-pound match, we've got Charlie Piquel 8 and Noah Parrish 4. And that was a good match, Bill.
Very good. It was
on
very
both
entertaining.
sides.
Yes, they both wrestled their hearts out. And the West leads 6-0, but, those decisions, they're good, but man, bonus points would really make a difference for either team.
Yeah, I think maybe East is because we know how tough Piquel is, and he's undefeated and everything, and only allowing a regular decision might be an advantage for them later on when you add up all the points at the end. So we'll see. And here at 120, we've got for wrestling for Mankato West, we've got Josh Block, and wrestling for Mankato East, we've got Nick Baer.
Now Josh is wrestling up a weight as well, and he's 8-1 on the season. He's having a fine year. He's had one loss, I think it was to a ranked wrestler. And then his opponent was Nick Baer, and he's been around wrestling for a while too. Nick's record is 5-9. Nick Byer, yes. Okay. Nick's a sophomore wrestling for Easton. He's had some experience. Josh is having a fine season from what I understand. And
Yeah, he has. And his only loss was to the number 2 ranked Dylan Drugmiller from Champlain Park.
Right,
He lost a
that tournament
4-1
last
decision at the Chanhassen in the finals of the Chanhassen Invite. So he's having a real nice year. And you could see it coming on. I mean, last year you could see it coming on a little bit, and he's just continued from what he's been doing last year.
Good tight squeeze. It kind of came around on that, almost like a barbed wire type of thing. Now he's in a headlock.
And we always call that the great equalizer, you know.
He
And
worked into that. It wasn't a throw.
no, you know.
Now, Josh shot. He got first.
And there's the
there you
fall.
go, there's a fall in 132. Now, Josh is first at Springfield tournament, Badger tournament, and second at Chanhassen. So that gave bonus points now.
Yeah, that was a
we
big
are.
6 points for Mankato West, and that puts the team score at Mankato West 12, Mankato East 0.
Well, I guess we could say the blocks have scored 9 of the 12 for West.
Okay, coming up here now at the 126-pound match for Mankato West, we've got Rhett Weavers, a 9th grader, and for Mankato East, we've got Nick Miller, a sophomore.
Yeah, Nick Miller is 1-4, and Rhett Weavers is 2-4. So, and they're both. You said he was a sophomore, and close, right on the edge there.
Miller had a nice shot in the
Yeah.
legs, but he stopped.
Yeah.
And you got to keep moving. Once you get in the legs, you got to keep moving on that. And Rhett did a nice job of countering that, and just came right over the back. And he's going to try to do it again.
Yeah.
But it was a much better shot by Miller that
That's
time.
standing there letting Miller shoot in. He didn't really move his feet, but maybe he's going to do like a Dylan Ness and throw him over or something.
Well,
yeah,
there's only one Dylan Ness, so.
I think so. It's probably not the best technique. I think Coach Butel might want to tell him to move his feet a little more next time.
You know, and one of the best things you can do to counter a good takedown guy is being on his legs.
Yes.
You know, it's tough for him to be on yours if you're in on his, right?
Nice,
so
the West kids are doing a nice job so far sitting out. He did a nice job sitting out, and he caught the head on that as a head catch.
Yep.
He might get some points here if he can. Now, the hips came up.
Official hasn't awarded any points yet.
No, it's kind of a. He got kind of a. Oh.
And now we got a potentially dangerous.
He got 1 point escape though. He had that thing wrapped around pretty good.
Okay, so we'll see if Rhett Weavers can adapt
Yeah.
here a little bit, because you know Miller's going to come in with a double or a single.
Yeah,
so
he got a heck of a nice shot.
yeah, it does.
Comes in deep, brings his hips, finish it. Now we see Gary Dirk sitting over there. He coached for years, and of course that's John's dad. A lot of connections going on here tonight. Brian Quebeck's doing the
Head course
scoreboard
table,
over there.
yep.
He's right next to us. He's head coach for, I don't know, 15, 16 years for East.
Yep.
So it's a kind of a big deal, the East-West
And we've got
match.
Bruce Urbatch over there next to Gary too. He
What's
was
that?
head. Bruce Urbatch over there next to
Oh,
Gary.
Bruce is here. Yeah, Bruce has coached for a number of years.
Okay, nice little spin around by Miller. Come around for 2. 10 seconds left in the first period.
Get your arm out there. Whoops. See? You got to get something out of there. Up. It's not. That's a nice move by Miller to stay on top of him.
And that's the end of the first period. A lot of action that first
Lot of
period.
This is going to be an interesting score. I don't think it's going to say 4-1.
No, it definitely won't. And Miller's choice, and he defers to Weavers, and he is taking down.
All right.
Started the second period.
Yeah, East has had a number of coaches over the years, and I think a lot of them are here tonight. Bruce was the coach prior to John, and then Paul Pagel prior to that, and Andre Harnitz, who's coaching over at Lake Crystal, was coached at East, and then, of course, Brian was from 1976 to 1995. And that, my math tells me that's probably about 19 years as head coach.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah. And then
He had some great teams there, too.
Yeah, and then the guy that came before Brian, I don't know him. Arlo Hurley was his name. Like I said, the rivalry goes back a long time.
Weaver's coming, little
There's a
sit out,
nice
little
sit
head catch coming
facing
out.
him.
Miller's doing a nice job, though, of controlling the underhooks
Yeah.
and doing a nice job spinning, but great job by Weavers
He
keeping
kept
the
the
hands,
hands. He
keeping
kept
the
the
hands.
hands.
And we
Well,
talked about controlling the hands,
Reach hand
and that's a
control.
good example of what we're talking about.
Well, I think that's the first major shot that Weber's has taken.
Right. Now
And
Miller
I-
looks like he's trying to stuff the head, and he's
Yeah.
probably going to try to spin again. Stuffing the head and spin. Score is 4-2. Got a minute left in the second period. 4-2 Miller. And you always have to look at this as kind of a must-win match for East. You know, you don't want to get down too much.
No.
Get behind too far. You know, we know that East has got some power coming up in the upper weights.
Kind of a missed takedown by Weber's, and Miller took advantage, and now he's got him locked in a cradle with 30 seconds. See if Weber's can keep some hand control, prevent this cradle. There he got it out. He got it loose.
Winding down second period, 15 seconds to go in the
What I
second
like
period.
about Miller's ride is he's keeping those hips pretty tight to his opponent. He doesn't let a lot of space there. But he is over the arm a little bit.
Yeah,
on
he's
the
a
side.
little high. You know, you want to keep your weight on the hips if you can.
If you can. He was
And,
doing it, but
He's getting a little high.
Now there's a chin drop, shoulder drop.
And you got a
Counted
2 count.
pretty quick there.
Got a
Got
2
back
count.
points. Wow.
And we should mention our official is Mr. Gary Height, and longtime official, one of the best officials in the state.
So
worked many
He's been at the
state tournaments.
tournament, and so far be it for us to question the near fall, or me anyway. No, I would always be comfortable if he was an official at my match.
Yes. And boy, that was just like a forward roll.
Yeah.
And
He didn't quite hold
Weber's
it long
was able to
enough.
catch him and hold him there. And I think it kind of stunned the official a little bit because he's a little bit late starting the count. Good hip action by
Yeah,
Miller
and
on the
He
bottom.
let go of that arm. I thought he barred across the back there.
Yeah.
If I could tell Weber's, I'd say don't leave your elbows out there like that.
Okay,
Easier
Miller's
said than
coming
done.
with a tough half.
Yeah,
Good job by Weber's getting the hand off his head,
Well,
but he's got to come to his base.
Yep. And I like the way Miller's really pressuring forward, running that cross face and driving on him.
Okay,
Going
let
for
him
a
go.
major, minute to
Yep.
go.
Yep.
I think you mentioned Miller's record. Now he's up by 9 now.
Yep.
with,
Score is 12.
57.
Yep. Score is 12-3 Miller. 57 seconds to go in the third period.
No, it's Nick Miller, and he's 1-4 on the season. And Rhett, I think we mentioned, was 2-4. So going neutral again, it looks like.
Okay, back trip right to his back.
Hey, just kind of
Big move,
locked
big
up
move.
To him to his back,
And that was
going for 6.
that's what we call a high risk, high reward move, wasn't it, Bill? I mean, if it works for you, it's a great move. Okay. Not only do you get you 2, but you're getting some big time back points.
If you don't do it right, you could imperil yourself.
25 seconds to go in the third period.
It's not. Well, I have to give Weber's credit for getting off his back.
Yep.
That was a tight half. I don't know how he got that.
Yeah,
arm
that was
out.
a nice job by Weber's coming off. Score is 17-4. Now
I
it's
think he's
17 to
He's gonna
5.
try to get a tech.
17 to 5.
He's going to get a tech fall. Got tech fall. No.
19 to 5.
Final score. Well, there's 2.9 seconds left. I'm a little confused.
Okay.
Stopped the match there. They weren't out of bounds. And I thought he was
And
kind of on his back.
The official is asking for some help here at the head table.
Okay.
Score is 19 to 5.
But now two
But he
more
gave
near
him
fall.
two full. If he gives him 2 back points, that's going to be a tech
I think
fall.
it is now a tech fall.
Yep.
Okay.
Gave him the back point.
Yeah, I was a little confused
So
there.
final score was 21
to 5.
to 5
So East gets 5.
was match score.
12-5. Okay.
That'd be a tech fall for Mankato
All right.
East. Big match for Mankato East.
Yes, it was.
And
They
now
haven't
we
put the score up on the board yet.
No.
But that's, I believe, the score is 12-5. It was a tech. I think there's still time left. So
but if there's tech
did
fall,
they go out of bounds because he was on his back?
No, he stopped the match because it was tech fall. Got to the
Okay.
15-point
Yeah,
match.
I thought that he was still on his back, kind of. But I guess Gary saw him coming off.
Yeah,
Okay.
he had a
All
lot
right.
better angle than we did.
Yes, he did.
Although we are right here next to Matt's side, aren't we? So we've got some of the best seats in the house. But
But
I'm assuming, because you're
Yeah.
supposed to stop the match
right.
as soon as you hit that tech fall, that 15-point differential,
If I were East, I
and
would be
which
concerned.
he did, but we still have 2.9 seconds
I would
left.
hope I could still. What's that? Oh, I guess we're discussing the. It looks like we're back. They're going to try to finish this. No, it's over. Oh. Well, I don't know what they decided.
Okay.
This is irregular to me.
Evidently,
Apparently
they
then
took away
score's
the
only
2-point.
19-5,
Yeah, they took away the
19-6.
2-point near fall. Gave him a point for
So apparently it's only a major.
final score. Anyway, however you look at it,
Okay.
final score was
19
Miller
6.
19, Weber 6,
Okay.
and that was a major decision.
Well,
That's
that
14
point could
points.
be important. I'm still a little confused by that, but that's what they did.
Well, it was a good job by assistant coach Tim Wessel to come over
called
and
him
to
on
challenge that because
Well,
it was a
he's
tech
probably
fall.
saying if he was on his back for back points, how could he been out of bounds? And that's probably what they decided. It was out of bounds. That makes more sense now that I think back.
All right,
Who we got down?
132-pound match. We've got for Mankato West Antonio Cruz. He's a junior. And for Mankato East, for the Cougars, we've got Sheng Haley. He's a junior.
Now, Shing comes to us from Oklahoma. He's a transfer. He's 6'8", and talking to Jeremy Berger, and he said that he's showing some potential. He's a pretty good wrestler. So he's been doing well for them. He's, like I said, 6'8" as a junior.
Yeah, and a transfer, and you always like to have a transfer come in. I mean, it's nice, but over the years we had some transfers. Some worked out, some didn't work out. But this young man in Oklahoma comes in boasting he had 30 wins last year.
That's what I've understood. He's a pretty good wrestler.
So it's our first chance to look at him. And looking at Antonio, we've been watching him for a couple of years now. He's a couple-year letter winner, and he is improving. Even though his record is not what he wants it to be, and what I'm sure the coaches want it to be. He is getting better.
Yeah. And Antonio's taken some lumps so far this year, but he's still plugging away. And I see a few things he's doing right out there. He's working on his base and trying to keep moving out there.
Getting a little high.
Yeah, he's got that arm under the leg. If he can,
If you can just pull that forward,
get out.
pull that forward.
Yeah.
And stay in a good base. Get your base.
Yep. Keep coming back. Well, it's he's got that left leg hooked around the hip there, keeping him from doing it.
And I think Haley's just going to try to hang on and hope for a stalemate
about
right now.
25 seconds here in the period. Yeah, stalemate.
That's
Good
what you
call,
got.
Don.
That's what you got. And so score is 2-0, 25 seconds to go in the first period. And Cruz is down.
So talking a little bit about the West coaching staff over there, we'll talk about a little more about Tim here. Tim wrestled for us for 4 years and
State
very
entrant.
successful.
State
State
entrant for us.
He was on our state team, 2000, and he's been such an enthusiastic supporter of wrestling. He's been nothing but good for the programs anywhere he goes. I really appreciate it. Looks like we got an escape here for Antonio. So that's a good point to get with that short a time. You know what I mean?
Yes, it is.
It's a
It makes
free
a
one.
statement.
Yeah,
And
you can't answer that too easy with that short a time.
correct. And you always want your wrestlers to wrestle through the end of the period.
That's right.
And
So-
anytime you can score, you want to score first and score last.
Yes, and Antonio, that's encouraging to see that. He's still wrestling hard. He didn't say, oh, there's 10 seconds, I'll just wait it out.
Yeah.
He scored. So that's a good message, as you said.
And Cruz has got him flattened out pretty well right now. He's got some good hip pressure. Now he's letting him up a little bit. He's got to come back on it and don't get too high.
That was a little awkward there. He did.
Well,
he went around the neck kind of.
He did, but Antonio let the pressure off his hips.
Yeah.
And so Haley was able to get his hips out and
Well,
then pivot on that.
Scramble results in an escape.
It does. And we have a 6-2 score 30 seconds gone in the second period.
Coach Dirks was a three-sport athlete, as many of these coaches were for East, and he excelled in football and with his dad as the football coach. And he said he went on and wrestled at MSU Mankato and national entrant wrestler and some good teams with Coach Makowski back in those days in the early 2000s.
Some very highly ranked teams.
Yes, they had some. I think they were near the top those years in the nationals. And they had some national champs during that time, and I think John had to wrestle around a national champ from your alma mater, Blue Earth, Cranky.
Yep.
So John's got some credentials, and he's been around wrestling since he's a little kid, and he's a no-nonsense, good coach, fundamentals. You watch those kids ride; they know how to ride. So yeah, it's interesting to see this. We watch them wrestle, and now we see them as coaches, and they're doing a real good job. And Don, as a tribute to you, you got a Jeremy Berger coaching for East. You got Tim Wissel coaching for West. And I'll talk more about Drew Hood after this match. He's another one of your wrestlers. We got Chase Foster helping out with West over there. He's a wrestler. He actually wrestled for both our programs.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he transferred to
So,
West as a
This is
senior.
kind of a big deal for East and West this tonight. A nice takedown there by Sheng.
And that's the end of the second period. And we've got an 8-2 score in favor of Sheng Haley. Cruz choice, and he's taken down to start the third.
And then going back over to the West bench, Dustin Butel's got the Caledonia connection with the assistant coach for West, and that's Mr. Berg over there. And Lee Berg wrestled for Caledonia and was a state entrant in 2008, and he's kind of in charge of the JV and the program over there and keeping that in line. But he's helping out with the team, and so we got the Caledonia Mankato West thing going over on the West bench.
That last takedown by Sheng Haley was a very nice duck
Very
under.
nice. And there's
Does
another
a
nice shot.
great job of
On a
dropping
single
his
to a
hips.
double. Well, how many times have we said single double, single
Yep,
double?
Yep, and he drops his hips, lowers his level,
Yep.
and really smooth on
Well,
that.
he has some good fundamentals. So somebody in Oklahoma, I guess, knows how to do a double leg. Maybe he learned it here. John Dirks. I'm
think
sure
they have-
John's taught a few doubles.
They have pretty good wrestling in Oklahoma.
They do.
Now we need a little more action from Antonio. He's got to come back now. It's a major right now in favor of Sheng Haley, and Antonio's got to save the point if he can for the team,
Yeah,
and
let's
that's what
let
you're
him
trying
go
to do.
again.
Yep.
We certainly don't want to have a situation where it's a tech fall. Now we'll go back over to the East bench. John Schumacher's helping out over there, and he wrestled for East a few years ago. Another pretty good wrestler for them, and he's helping out. So a lot of these guys come back and get involved in the sport. And it's a tribute to guys that coached in the past that the kids just love it. It gets in your blood. I can't stay away, and I've been around this for I don't know how many years.
Long time. Bill.
Long time.
We're not young.
No, we're not. Speaking of guys that have been around a long time, I see a media type over here. I thought he retired. Jim Ruda is here. He couldn't stay away from East-West Wrestling.
Long time.
Long time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Free press writer. Great job. Does a great job. And he's certainly a friend of wrestling. That's for sure. 20 seconds left. We got a 12-5 score. Hopefully we'll see some flurry here at the end. See what we got. Antonio's got to move his feet a little bit. He was caught flat-footed, wasn't he?
He's kind of getting demoralized here at the end. He's kind of hoping the clock runs out. Nice match by Sheng. That was very good technique.
Showed some nice stuff on his feet.
Oh, he's very good takedowns.
Does a nice job of lowering his level, changes
does.
levels, and when he goes, he goes. He goes
Yes.
hard. So final score of that match was 14-5, favor of Sheng Haley, and that's another major
Yeah, that's
for the Cougars.
they're
And that
eating into that lead a little bit. It's 12-8.
138 for the Scarlets, Jaden Grimm. And for the Cougars, Wyatt Betts.
Now this is Jake's first match, I believe, right? Jake Grimm for West.
Jaden.
Is Jaden.
Jaden Grimm.
Jaden Grimm, okay.
Yep.
And
Wyatt Betts for East, for Mankato
Wyatt
East sophomore.
Betts, okay.
And Jaden is a freshman.
Okay.
So this is a big match. I think this is a big match for both schools.
Let's see what I got about Wyatt here. He's a 10th grader, and he's 1-3. And I don't have a lot of information about how he's done this year. They've only had one tournament, and that was down at Blue Earth, which is a pretty salty tournament back on the 5th of December. Otherwise, they've had all duels. So East has had a pretty tough road to hoe. East has beaten St. Clair and Blooming Prairie this year, and they also beat Bold 42-39, a good match. There's a nice takedown for East.
And that's a feather in East Gap, because Bold historically had some very fine teams
Yes,
coming
they
out there,
did,
and some
and
great wrestlers coming out of
We're
there.
going to get up to Logan Swanson's match later, but Logan wrestled a state champion from Bold in a very good match. We'll talk more about that a little later. Just talking about it's kind of interesting. Looks like West is going to try to get out here with maybe a reversal or an escape.
Betts had a nice takedown, but he did get a little bit too high, and you see that
He's
a
gonna
lot of
get
times
two
with
out
young
of this.
wrestlers, and we got a nice reversal by Grimm coming out of there and makes the score 2-2 with 40 seconds to
It
go.
was really
the first
a
period.
reversal using a single leg to a double there coming up. He didn't stop and stand up and go neutral. He just took him down. Kind of even here with 30 seconds in the first period. It's going to be a pivotal match. Like you said, kind of unknown. This Grimm has not wrestled varsity yet.
Good hip action there.
Nice switch there
Yep.
for East.
Good
there.
hip action by Betts. Still hasn't gotten the points yet, though.
No, but
He's got to be able to get his
potential is 8
leg free.
seconds. Hang on to the leg. Maybe it won't happen. 3 seconds.
He might
I don't
come
think
out of
they're
there
gonna
with
get
an escape.
anything.
Might come out of there with an escape.
Whoa.
1 point escape.
I'm not sure. College, they might not have called that. High school, they might. But I did notice that the East guy had a cradle lock there through that when he had the leg. And
Betts to first.
Mr. Heights was a little bit
And
indecisive. That was a tough
Grimm
call.
Grimm is going to take neutral.
All right. But he got taken down, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Okay, but he did get a kind of a takedown back again, so we'll see. Maybe he's got some confidence now. That was a nice switch that the East kid ran. Oh, they're kind of
Cow
a
catcher.
Cow catcher,
Cow
yeah.
catcher, yep.
Yeah. And he's got the chin and the half. Just so he doesn't pull
Now
on
he's just
got
to settle in. You just got to settle in,
You
get
got to
your
get
hips
your head up
down,
and your chest on him.
settle in and get your hips down.
I got a little high there. You got to get chest on chest. Give the East kid credit. He's going to hook that leg and swing his hips out if he can.
And now he's still settling
It's
in.
a little bit loose on the half there.
You get your hips down,
Yeah.
and it's getting awfully close. There it is.
There's a fall for West. That's a little bit of a surprise. The guy 0-0 getting a fall in his first match on varsity.
That was a big match for Mankato West.
Wow.
Big
That's
match
a
for
little bit of
Jaden
a
Grimm.
surprise. Because we don't know much about him. And that gives West a little boost.
Nice way to start your varsity career.
Yes, it is. How'd you do in your first match? Well, I was like, got a pin.
Got a pin.
At 145 for the Scarlets.
That's not easy to do.
No. Some
But
guys go a long
that puts
time
the
before
team
that
score.
happens.
The Scarlets now 18, the Cougars at 8.
Okay. Who we got at 145, Don? I didn't hear the announcer.
Yep, and for Mankato West, we've got Dustin Mueller at 145. And for East, we've got Eric Jaster.
Dustin Mueller is a sophomore, and Dustin, actually, his dad, Corey, wrestled for us back in the 90s, too. So is this Jaster? Jaster, okay. All right. I pronounce the names right here. But, yeah, this Mueller, his dad wrestled for us, Corey. And I think my first year at West in '89, Corey was like a 9th grader. And Corey was always a lot of fun. He always had a smile on his face and just loved wrestling. And you can see he passed it off on his son a little bit. Eric Jaster is 4 and 6 senior, and he's a captain on the team. And talking with Jeremy, he says he's a quality wrestler. He's a good kid, works hard, and he sure enjoys having him on the team as a leader. Nice single leg by Mr. Jaster.
Nice, it was a nice counter by Mueller. You
Threw
had
the
the
whizzer
had the
in.
whizzer in there. If you could have kept it in and gotten
Yeah.
his hip, shifted his hips
Shift
out,
the hips
you
out.
could have maybe prevented that takedown. But he did give it up,
Yeah, he did.
and you have to give Jasper credit. That was a
Yeah, nice
very nice
move.
technique, very nice move for
Got
2.
in deep and didn't hesitate. He finished it. Yeah, Dustin's record this year so far is 3-7, and Dustin. I'm just looking at how he did in the tournaments, and I see it. The Redwood River Valley Badger Invite. He was 6th place at 145.
And
Oh my.
big fall
Oh my!
by Eric Jasker.
Nice cradle. Well, I think Coach Berger was right. Quality wrestler, good kid. Nice.
Boy, you
looking
got
wrestler.
that, you got that cradle on there, and
He
that was
locked
tight.
her up. Boy,
That
he
wa-
locked her right
yeah,
up.
That was real tight.
Now he's a senior. He wants to win this one. This is the last chance to beat West.
And that puts the team score at the Scarlets 18 and the Cougars 14.
And we're about halfway through the meet here, and it's a real tight one.
And now 152, the Scarlets have out there Tyler Kopp, a senior captain. And the Cougars are bringing out Brandon Parrish, also a senior.
Yeah, Brandon is probably one of the best wrestlers that East has. He's 9-5. Tyler is a senior, 3-5. So these guys have met before, and but Brandon has been around a long time. He was about 500 last year, placed in the section. He also wrestled quite a bit the year before, and he's got some real experience. He's a pretty tough kid. And his brother wrestled down below there in one of the lighter weights, and the Parrish boys have been good for this East program.
And Tyler, he's been a letter winner, I think, 2 or 3 years now for the Scarlets, and he's improving. He's getting better every year.
Yes.
His technique is getting better. He works hard, one of the hardest workers in the team, and he's got a lot of respect from his teammates because he is a 2-year captain, and they just don't give those out to anybody.
Right. Well, we're a minute in and no score. Brandon, let me see if I can look here at how he did. He was 6th at the Blue Earth Invitational. And like I said, he placed in the section last year. Oh, there's a throw right to the back.
Yep. Good throw.
Yeah, Tyler was out
Tyler
of
tried to
position.
come in, yep, and he reached a little bit too much, got on his hip. Okay. And
Well, he's fighting off his back. Boy, that was a
Good.
tough spot.
very good job of fighting off because that's hard to do.
Yeah.
You get somebody's weight on you and you're on your back. It's hard to get out of there. And
Brandon's still running that chicken wing. Got it a little bit loose, but I think Tyler's kind of doing that. He's sliding his arm through.
it's
Pretty flexible there.
getting to a potentially dangerous situation there on that elbow
Yep,
and that shoulder.
There
it is. Potentially
Yeah.
dangerous right there.
Yeah.
3-point near fall makes a match score 5-0 in favor of Parrish over Kopp. And we've got 16 seconds to go in the first period.
He chopped that arm down again. It kind of rides tight with that tight waist and chop the arm. You keep that pressure with the hips. Tough for Tyler to get his hips out.
And you notice, how he's keeping his hips right on Kopp's hips, and what you have to do. And you have to keep those hips on there. You got to make the other guy carry his own weight plus yours.
Yep.
And if you can do that, you can really wear him out. It makes a big difference in that third period, doesn't it?
And you know how you do that if you watch their toes. They're driving all the time.
Yeah.
Driving in.
Yeah, it's just not you laying on the guy.
No,
You're
you're
using your legs. You're using your arms. Using whatever you can to get that pressure on that opponent of yours. And it really makes a big difference.
Talking about how tough this sport is, people maybe don't watch wrestling a lot. I could tell you from experience, being a multi-sport athlete, that this is the toughest sport there is, in my opinion. And I happened to come across an article I saw, I think it was put on the West website. Mike Zimmer was a wrestler and a coach for the Vikings, and he said the toughest sport there is wrestling. And it maybe looks like they're laying out there, but that's total exertion.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy on the bottom there, he isn't just laying there. He's trying to fight everything the top guy's doing. And Brandon is driving and driving. It takes a lot of energy and muscle work. So it's hard to explain sitting here. The only thing I can tell you is to try it.
Yeah.
See what it's like.
Yeah.
It's tough. And so it isn't just a couple guys sweating on each other. They're working their butts off. And if you wrestle a full hard match, you'll know it. And by the time you get part with you the season, you'll be in the shape of your life. A really good thing for you. Working that wing, got that arm bar.
Doing a nice job with the arm bar.
Yeah.
Now he's coming back to that. It looks like he wants to get that arm bar chicken wing situation again. Looks like he likes to use that quite a bit.
Yeah, well, Tyler's letting him make a living on that left arm.
Yep. And we got 40 seconds left in the second period. 5-0 match score.
Well, I'm impressed with Brandon's riding. He's nice. Oh, he got double going. Got both chicken wings. This is trouble. 27 seconds. Oh, boy.
And that's the fall.
That's a double.
Yeah. And that is
tough to get out
that's a
of.
pinning combination that you don't want to be in. You don't want to be
No.
the recipient of
Can't
that.
give up your arms.
And so big fall for Mankato East. Brandon Parrish
that
in the
puts
second
them
period.
Front 2018.
And that
Going
makes
into
it,
160.
that makes the team score Mankato East.
Right.
Cougars
Well,
20, Mankato West Scarlets 18.
East has the trump card at heavyweight, so we'll see what happens here tonight. Who we got running out here now, Don? Garrett Block, I believe.
Yeah, for Mankato
Okay.
West, we do
He's
have
senior,
Garrett Block
2-8,
coming out here.
and I'm not sure what East has out here. We'll have to find out.
I believe it's Gavin Mortensen. Bill.
Okay, and his record's 1-1 if that's who we got, and he's a sophomore.
Yeah, Bill, it's Gavin Mortensen.
And it looks like we have a takedown for Garrett. Garrett's a senior. Even though his record's only 2-8 right now, you can bet he's going to wrestle his best match being a senior wrestling East. So he's going to want this one. Plus, he got his brothers already one below him. He might not want to go home saying,
Yep.
my younger brothers won and I didn't on the East night. So we'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
there's certainly some sibling rivalry in
Well,
there.
there he ran a
So,
nice crossface, and he's going to come back with a half on that maybe.
That was a nice
Oh,
butcher series, wasn't
yeah,
it?
he kind of ran that crossface. You can do three things with that crossface, and
But-
he did one of them.
Yeah, but Garrett's got a nice frame for that. He's got some
Yeah.
nice long levers and
Yeah.
long arm. It looks like that's what he likes to do.
He's got the wrist, working through the crotch. That's pretty aggressive. I'd say he can keep that up the whole match.
And we've got a minute left here in the first period. I got a 2-0 lead by Garrett Block.
Now, you almost had some back points there with that Butcher series or crossface series. I see that Gavin's trying to get hand control there. He's trying. Then he had to put his hands down to get his base, and he loses it. So that's one of those catch.
Well, he's doing a nice. Block is doing a nice job. Look at his hips. Now he's getting out a little bit, and Gavin's trying to get his hips away from him, which is what you want to do on the bottom. And he did a nice job of coming up.
Yes, he did.
But trying to control those
Right.
hands as you come up, if you can.
So when Garrett runs that crossface, and Gavin's learned probably that you don't let him leave it there. You got to grab his hand.
Yeah, you
And then
do.
get my hip out maybe. Nice trip on the ankle when he stood up.
Well, after you get crossface 2 or 3 times,
Yeah.
you learn that
Right.
you might want to grab the hand.
He's going to work that crossface, so he likes that series. Doing it again. There's he got it locked up. Well, almost had a cradle. Not quite. Oh, he's got
This
it
is
again.
the big last 5
This-
seconds. Big 5
one.
seconds left in this period.
Oh,
That's
my.
the fall.
Oh, my.
That's the fall.
Oh,
4/10
my.
of a second left in the first period.
Oh, my. Well, I think
Big fall
I
by
think there was a
Garrett
little
Block.
bit of a mistake there by Gavin. I think he thought the buzzer would ring, and then he goes, "Oh, well, it didn't go." You got to wrestle hard all the way. That's tough to get pinned with a half a
And
second.
that makes the team score. Mankato West Scarlets 24, Mankato East Cougars 20.
Well, that was a big win for Garrett.
Okay, and now going on to 170. We've got for the Scarlets, Ethan Rademacher. He's a junior. And we've got for the Cougars, Michael Miller.
Michael Miller is a senior, and he's 4-10. Ethan Rademacher for West, he's a junior, and he's got a 1-4 record. As we said earlier, his dad wrestled for you and I back in the day, and
Yes,
back
he
in the
did.
early '90s. So we got a lot of connections here. We got Mueller and Rademacher, and who else we got? We got some coaches that we've been coaching. They're out there too.
Bill, that just means we're old.
We're old. Yeah, indeed.
Looking at the team score, Billy, 24-20. Are you surprised at the closeness of that score? I'm
no,
not.
I'm not at all. I don't know how this is going to turn out, and not to tantalize or even conjecture, but wouldn't it be an interesting possibility if you take the undefeated West wrestler at 220 and move him up to heavyweight on one of the best heavyweights in the state? We'll talk more about that a little later, but I could imagine that could happen if they were worried about winning the match.
Well, I know there was some talk about that scenario maybe happening,
Yeah.
and we'll just have to see how this plays out before
That would
before we
be
can
tough
find
on
that.
the 220-pounder to do that. This Logan Swanson for
But
East
you-
is all that.
Yeah, but you're talking
We're gonna
about a
have-
220-pounder that has
Right.
already beaten 4 ranked kids this year.
Well,
so
but we're also talking about a 285-pounder
You're
that's
right.
beat some ranked kids and
you're right.
lost to a state champion in a controversial call. We'll talk more about those guys when they come up. But yeah, it's this could come down to those top 2 weights.
And we've got these 2 athletes out here. They're feeling each other out
Look
a
like
little
they're
bit.
pretty evenly matched,
Yeah,
don't they?
and it seems like neither one wants to venture out and take that first shot.
Yeah.
They're a little tentative. A lot of hand fighting going on, trying to pressure the head a little bit.
Nice high crotch shot.
And nice shot there at the end.
But that was a lack of confidence. Why not earlier?
Well,
He thought,
yeah.
well, I'll try it now, and then if it doesn't
and
work,
we talked, and we've talked
Yeah.
about score first, score last.
Yeah.
And that was a chance for him
But
to do that.
There's a
but,
positive in there. It might have sent a message.
right.
That was a nice high crotch shot.
Starting the second period, Miller's down.
Oh, you
Rademacher's
kind
on
of a
top.
Granby there to get out.
Nice
Scramble.
movement, nice movement. And you take that, and hopefully you could give that to all your wrestlers. That was
Yeah.
great movement coming out of there.
Yeah.
Miller did a nice job
He
coming
exploded
out.
out of there.
He did
didn't- He
explode,
wasn't waiting to see what the top guy did. You sit, they'll tie you up.
and that makes life a lot easier as a wrestler, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You don't want to be on the bottom and,
Right.
get pounded by your
Yeah,
opponent on the
exactly,
bottom.
Exactly. Yeah, this is another one of those pivotal matches. We've had a handful of those. I think West winning those first 2 was a pretty big deal, because those could have gone either way.
And we've
Well,
got
it's
warning.
stalling, yeah.
Yep, stalling warning
Well, he's
against
standing
East.
on his. He's not moving. He's kind of standing there waiting for the other guy. He kind of showed that in the first period. He could have taken some shots, but didn't. Now he's going to
Now we-
equalize it.
Okay.
And I'm not sure on that call.
So we've got two
Yeah.
stalling calls, one
Yeah.
against each wrestler right now.
I don't understand what Miller
Well,
did there.
I
You
think
have to tell me
the
a little.
referee. I think Gary just wants more action.
Okay,
You know,
all right.
I'm
Yeah, they
thinking
kind
that's
of
what he
stood
wants.
around the
Yeah.
first period. He wants to wrestle. But I'm not sure that Miller was. Now he seems to be stalling a little. Backing up. Yeah, well, he wants Rademacher to go in, and then he can.
Well, yeah,
him.
because he's not pushing his offense.
No.
He's looking like he's more of a defensive wrestler, and there
Right.
are some great wrestlers that wrestle that way.
Yeah.
But there are times where you have to push some offense.
Well, I haven't seen a straight pure shot or setup from Mr. Miller here. And Ethan hasn't done a lot, and he has one. We saw it. He could do it.
So there's a little bit of a shot right
There
there,
we
and
go.
there's
There's a
another.
shot.
There's a follow-up right there.
Oh, he's going for the big throw. Wow, that's some dangerous.
Okay,
zone
that was
there.
great action right in front of us,
Yeah.
and we had a shot by Miller and a nice
that
defensive effort by
That
Ethan.
must be what he likes to do, his upper body. I haven't seen him do much with the lower body. Ethan looked like he wanted to roll through that, but he also knew where he was. Yeah, he definitely likes defense. Miller does. Well, boy, right at the buzzer. they
Right at the
score.
buzzer.
It's 3-0 going into the third. Wow.
Big takedown right at the buzzer
Yeah.
for
Most of
Miller.
the action happened at the end of the periods.
Okay, match score is.
Coach Wisso's getting a little excited over there.
Yeah, he is. Match score is Michael Miller is 3, Ethan Rademacher is 0, going in the third period.
Well, I got one more coach for West I want to talk about a little bit. That's Drew Hood. One there for Ethan. Drew wrestled for us and graduated in 2003, and he was 6th in the state as a senior, and he was a tremendous athlete too, football and track and field and wrestling, and I think he got a medal in every sport he was in. They won the state in football when he was a sophomore, and he was a state place winner in the pole vault, and I believe in the hurdles. And he was 6th in the state in wrestling, an all-around athlete. And he's coaching at West, and he's a Gustavus grad. That doesn't have wrestling, but he did track up there. And he's a real enthusiastic, positive guy, too. So
And if I remember right, Drew's first year in wrestling was as a freshman.
That's correct.
And,
And
you know,
he wrestled with my son quite a bit.
Yep, and he was one of the hardest workers
Yes.
we've ever had. And all that hard work paid off because he was.
We had to convince the dad that he should wrestle.
Yep, and he was hard work paid off because he stood on the podium in the state tournament.
Yes, he was. Pretty good going from 9th grade first time to 6th place as a senior in the state tournament.
56 seconds left in the third period. We've got a 3-1 score, Miller over Rademacher right now. Pivotal match in this duel.
And in spite of the score, this is a very exciting match. I mean, there's a lot of back and forth and action now.
That was a great shot by Miller. He's in on the leg.
Yeah.
Now if he can just pull it up and if he can get it up and shelf it.
He limped armed the whizzer.
He
Yep.
did.
Yep.
And Rademacher had a nice whizzer in there, but he's able to limp arm it. Miller was, and come out the back. And now makes the match score 5-1 with 32 seconds left in the third period.
You know, being that if this ends the score, that'll be a 24-23 match. That tech fall that didn't happen earlier could be big. Now we got one for Rademacher. He could maybe get a big
15
move
seconds
there.
left, and remember, we've got
Equalize
some
it.
stalling calls already.
Yeah,
so the
both guys been
next
warned.
call is going to be a point, a match point.
Yeah, we're down under 10. Yeah, I think we're.
Okay.
Well, it's going to be a 1-point match going into 182.
And there's the match. And final of that one, good match. Turned out to be a good match there. A lot of action in the third period. Michael Miller, 7. Ethan Rademacher, 2. And that makes the team score 24 for Mankato West and 23 for the Cougars. Coming into 182.
Oh, we got the senior. He gets a. Looks like we're going to get a forfeit there.
Okay,
West.
182, Josiah Dahlgren.
He's a senior.
Yep, senior captain.
And he had a pretty good record coming in. He's 4-1 coming in. Well, that makes us kind of interesting. Okay, now this is. I don't have much information. I think it might be his first varsity match this year.
Scarlett is Rylan Mosier.
And he's
And,
Rylan.
he's a sophomore. Second varsity match for him this year.
Second, okay.
He had a big win earlier this year in a dual meet at West High School. And his opponent
This is Darnell Hines, I believe, wrestling for East. Okay, he's 1-4 sophomore. And so Jaden Mosier is 1-0, is that correct? And he's a ninth grader?
Rylan Mosier.
Rylan. Okay,
He's a sophomore.
sophomore. Oh, a nice takedown.
Nice butcher series.
Oh, boy,
going on.
they're going to work on that tomorrow in practice. They've been close on that. All those guys trying that.
Well, I'd better mention that forfeit to Josiah Dahlgren made the team score Mankato West 30 and the Cougars 23 going into the 195-pound match. So we've got two matches left.
Yeah, this match here will determine perhaps the outcome and might destroy our idea that maybe those two ranked wrestlers would meet coming up. With 2 matches left to go.
Nice double.
Nice
double by Mosier. Did a nice job of lowering his level and driving through the legs.
If Rylan wins this match, I believe West will have locked it up. No, not necessarily. 2 matches to go. It'll be, but given the circumstance, this is pretty important that East win this. You're gonna have to find something down there to take on Rylan here. Rylan's looking pretty salty right now.
We got 30 seconds left in the first period. 6-2 score in favor of West. Rylan Mosier. And
That's a nice. We used to call that quarters because if a kid would pull that off, we'd give him a quarter. Or Blue Earth. We used to call it Blue Earth too. In honor of you, Don.
Yep, and that was a nice Nice movement because he was able to lift that near leg
Yeah.
and step through, and that's the whole key to that. Is stepping
That's
through.
pretty good. Sophomore working that move. That's
Especially
pretty sophisticated.
And especially at this weight class. You
Yes.
don't see a lot of
Yeah.
kids at this weight class.
Yeah, it
doing
looks
that.
like Ryland's been working the weight room and staying fit. Definitely got a wrestler physique right out there.
Yeah, he fills out the uniform really nice
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And so we've got starting the second period. We got 8-2 score in
Caution on red.
favor of Mosier.
Kind of jumped on him there. Now, those of you who don't know wrestling, a caution means you didn't start in the right position or you jump started, and you get 2 of those before the next one. Then they'll give you a point against you if you do it a third time. So a lot of guys will try to sneak something in, try to get an edge at the start, which looked like Ryland kind of did there, but the official caught him. Gary caught him right away. There's that barbed wire butcher series. Not quite catching that elbow on the swing through, is he?
No, he's moving a little fast on
Yeah.
that. You know, it's coming around the head like you want to,
patient.
but
Yeah.
you got to be a little more patient because
Yeah.
the guy, the wrestler from East is just rolling through on it. So
Yeah. And if I were John, I would talk to him about his sitting on his hip a little bit there. That gives an advantage to the other guy. Easier said than done. As I said earlier, you're out there. It doesn't look like you're working hard, but you are. Oh, there's a fall for West. And I think that probably finishes that a nice pin.
Nice fall.
Yeah. And that kind of finishes the night for East, I think, as far as team score. Now, we got 2 wrestlers coming up here. They're pretty special. And I'll probably interrupt a little bit as we're talking about the match. West has 1 ranked wrestler, and it's Zachary Jakes, and it's Class AA. He's a 10th grader wrestling at 220 pounds. Oh, they're going to forfeit to him. Okay, and he competed in the state tournament last year as a 9th grader. Zach is currently undefeated with some impressive wins over ranked wrestlers. In the recent Chaska, Chanhassen, Ethan Herman Memorial Tournament, he won the title over Wyzetta's 8th ranked. Well, Wes is going to wrestle. Okay, I'll talk more about Zach in a minute. Let's talk about this guy.
Okay, a heavyweight
Logan.
match we've got for Mankato West. We've got Seth McDonald, and for Mankato East we got Logan Swanson.
Logan gets a nice single with a takedown. This Seth's in with probably one of the elite wrestlers in the state. Logan has defeated some ranked wrestlers this year, and oh boy, now it looks like we're done here. Can we stay on the air for just a little bit? I want to talk about these guys. All right, yeah, Logan Swanson is a state wrestler, plays 4th in 10th grade, and last year got beat out in a true second match for the state tournament. Logan is going to play football at Augustana, and he's got a scholarship. He is currently ranked 5th in the state, and he has defeated many ranked wrestlers this year, and he just lost a state champion 2-1 last weekend on a controversial call. Logan's record currently is 11-1. Backing up to 220, the West wrestler Zach Jakes, he's undefeated this year, and he's beat several ranked wrestlers. So we've had some good wrestlers tonight.
Okay.
So anyway, we'll wrap up there with talking about those guys. I'll let you take over here.
And the final match score tonight was Mankato West Scarlets 42, Mankato East Cougars 29, and good effort by both squads. Both teams are young and they've got some things to work on, but they've got some real talent coming through too. So
I think it was a very entertaining match. It went kind of fast. We had some more things to say about some of these guys, but read about them in the paper and catch up with us. I hope some of you who watched this first time really enjoyed it. This is a good match. It's fun to watch these matches. Granted, we're from West, but I was really impressed with the effort of these kids, and I think they're going in the right direction. John's doing a good job.
Yep,
with
and
it.
I want to thank KTV for putting this on, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.